Excited today to have Mr. Robert Anthony Cruz, or many of you, or all of you, will know him as the one and only Coach Rack. What's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Happy to be here.
It's my pleasure. It really is. I've been trying to track you down for a little bit, and you are an extremely busy man. You know, you're doing big things, man. The bananas are really blowing up. You're a huge integral piece of that. I know you have your own apparel now, and the necklaces and a lot of big things for you, man. So I'm really happy to see the success. I'm going to start out with a very, very difficult question. Okay. And I know I told you I wouldn't, but who is the better singer? Okay. Is it you or is it Dalton?
Dalton Malden has got me beat in a lot of different aspects of singing. I think he can hit the highs much better than I can. I can maybe get the lows, but that's all I can get. But yeah, I got to go with Dalton for sure. That is a tough question, though.
I told you this. I was going to come out with some real controversial bangs here, right?
Yeah, right out the gate, man.
Right out the gate. But on a more serious tip, man, you have a really good story. I'm a coach and I have 3 young boys. You got a chance to meet them in Buffalo. One of the reasons I wanted you on is you were so kind and you were just such a cool guy. Moneyball was on the field. I don't know if you remember in Buffalo there.
100%. I still got the shirt. I actually wore it the other day.
My man, please wear it all the time and let people know. But no, you were just so kind and such a good person. And I have a very good intuition for that stuff, man. And my boys really appreciated that. So I became an instant fan. And from everything I've read, man, you have a great story. So without going into the whole story and the depths that you've told 100 times, I just want to know, how good did it feel to hit that home run at Nats Park?
Yeah, just chills. I've replayed that moment a lot in my head and rewatched the video so many times. Yeah, that was the coolest moment of my career for sure. And
awesome.
the most satisfying, euphoric feeling rounding the bases that I'll never forget. That was very, very special.
I mean, it had to be, when I edit, I'm going to make sure I put a video up of that. Can you see it on your face? I'll be honest, I have not watched the video. I knew it happened through reading. I check up on my bananas. I love the bananas, man. So I check up on them. I didn't watch the video. Could you see it in your face when you hit it? Has anybody said man, you could just see it in his eyes? Or
yeah. It's cool. And it's great because there's so many, obviously a banana game, there's so many cameras. So it's like every angle, and I was filming a vlog that day. So I've got it on my camera and a couple teammates of mine got it on theirs. And so there's just every angle of it. But you could just see my reaction. I couldn't believe it. I kept repeating like that. Right after I hit it, I look into the dugout because I knew I got it. And I look over into the dugout and everyone's hands on their head, can't believe it happened. And I just kept repeating, there's no way. There's no way that just happened. As I'm walking to first base, I'm there's no way. But that was really, really special.
You know what? I'm a big karma guy. I'm a big manifestation, karma, the universe type guy. And with the energy that you have, see, you say there's no way it happened. And I'm there's no way it wouldn't happen. What you give out in the world, it comes right back to you, man. And like I said, being the good hearted person and, the type of human being you are, it was just so fitting is all I'm saying. It was just so fitting. And going back to what you just said, for any young ball players, right, who are playing the game and we'll get into in 1 minute. I want to talk about what you think of youth baseball right now. But you said you felt it and you knew you got it. I just want to go back to that a minute. Pro ball players, okay? Do you know when you got it, right? I mean, there's always times where you're going to get robbed or something, but you'll see somebody smack one and just kind of stand there or whatever. But, what is your take when you hear it, when you hear that sound, man, and you just hear the crack, give me a little insider on that.
Yeah. Well, there's no better feeling in sports. And I can't say that too confidently because I haven't played any other sports really, but I feel like there's no way anything else could top that.
I like it. But
yeah, I'd say it depends on the hitter. I know there's some guys that are more speed guys, and some guys who when they get it they know. But yeah, there's this split second after you hit a baseball when you hit it perfectly, and you're like, okay, it doesn't really matter what park I'm at. This will go over the fence, and yeah, it's just pure satisfaction because you just fail so much in baseball over and over and over again for years and years. So when you finally just get one that you hit perfectly, sometimes you'll hit home runs and you don't think it's going to go out, or you think maybe it will, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah.
But then there's some times where you get it perfectly, and when you get it only happens a couple times a season. I mean, even if you have double-digit homers on the year, maybe only 1 or 2 of them you hit perfectly. And that was one where I was like, okay, I think I got it just about perfectly. It's funny, I got jammed a little bit. I felt the sting in my hands a little bit. I got it enough,
bro. You were swinging then, right?
Yeah, I knew with the adrenaline and with I figured it would be good. Also, in my head too, I was like, what I don't want to do is, it's funny, this all went through my head. Like, what I don't want to do is hit a home run in this situation and have it be the most perfect homer of my life, and then have me just like sprint out of the box as if I didn't think it was going to go out. So,
Right.
well, I'll take the risk, even if it goes off the wall. Like, we're just going to admire this one and go from there.
You were definitely thinking about that one a little more than you normally would. As far as getting drafted in school and the Nats, give me just a little bit of that backstory. Not to dive into the whole thing.
Sure. So I was a homeschooled ball player, played on random rec ball teams, travel teams, played in high school for a year and a half. That was it. Junior, senior year. Last minute committed my senior year to UC Riverside. Went there, sucked, had a terrible year. Transferred to Biola, a Division II. First year did okay. Second year, off to a really hot start, player of the week. COVID happened, canceled the season. That was the first time I ever started talking to scouts my junior year. Senior year came around, and that's when I put up a really, really good year. I think the 21 homers, batting like 330, that was over my basically 3 years at Biola that I did that.
Okay.
My senior year, I had 11 homers through 30 games or something like that.
Okay.
So I had a really good year my senior year, and got picked up by the Nats in 21.
It was 2021. Okay. Yeah. Which, baseball got real weird there for a couple years, didn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
My Atlanta Braves won the World Series, and I really don't like the asterisk next to it, man. It's
I know.
Freddie's year and just the way that all went down. And that was a really good year of baseball too, which is what really stinks about it. Like, there was some crazy, crazy beginnings to that season. Let me ask you this, Coach. What do you think right now of the speed on the bases? I love it personally, right? I love that the stolen base is so relevant again. I mean, we had years with Ricky Henderson, 140 steals. I mean, the guy was just off the charts. And that was when the base paths were a little bit shorter and the bases, were not as big. I don't know, that guy's a Martian. But what do you think about that being so relevant again in today's game in the major league level? Obviously, the bananas is a whole different tub of bananas.
A whole different ball game. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think of the base stealing and the fact that it's so relevant again?
Oh, in baseball, I love it because it especially is necessary with the way the game is trending. Because I turned on the Dodger Padre game yesterday, and for 5 innings, I saw a lot of just strikeouts. And quite frankly, I would have been right there in the mix if I was hitting with them. Because my gosh, these relievers are throwing 99, 101 with movement, sinker, changeups that are 94 miles an hour. It's like, okay, as a hitter, it's almost unfair. So to be able to have some more like other ways to have a competitive advantage in the game, I think is huge. And I think some of the rules they made with pitchers only being able to pick off so many times, and like a lot of those rules, I think really boosted the stolen base and made it so that you might see some guys like Luis Ariz who are super fun to watch, who can, get 200 hits in a season and be a Tony Gwynn type player, opposed to, needing to be an Aaron Judge. I think it's great for baseball. I enjoy it.
You just worded that perfectly. And I love the last part, with needing to be an Aaron Judge, right? So these guys don't feel like they need to go out and be 40, hit 40 bombs a year to be relevant. And you nailed it. Like there's certain players that are just aliens, like Ellie, right? And he's going to hit the home runs and the triples and the stolen bases. But then you're going to have, your guys who don't hit for power. And when you look at a stat line, see, 12, 60, 55. And that makes it more desirable. But it's just so relevant in baseball, man. If you can get if you hit a base hit and immediately put yourself in scoring position, myself, I would load up with speedsters, man. I'd get as many Acuñas, easy to say, right? As many Acuñas as you can, man.
Yeah.
But chicks dig the home run, right? Chicks dig the long ball.
That's true.
It's just part of baseball, man. Everybody goes to the park to see somebody smash one, and it's never going to change. Do you think the new rules have hurt baseball at all? As far as these baseball traditionalists and how they feel?
Great question. I think that one way or another, there's going to have to be a new generation of baseball fans. And one way or another, like you can cater to the traditionalists to some degree because they are the ones who have been fans of baseball for a long time. But at some point, there's going to need to be a new generation of fans. So, and part of that is just adapting. And I think that a lot of the new rules that MLB has put in place, I think have been great. I think at the same time that there might need to be more stuff that needs to be done. And so you got to ask the question, okay, let's try some things. And quite frankly, I don't have the answers. I don't know if what the MLB has done rule change wise has been good or bad. I think time will tell. I think personally, I have appreciated, I think they've been good changes. So that's my personal opinion. As far as if it's good for baseball, I don't think I know enough to make that claim, but I think it's been good.
That's definitely a fair answer, and part of the baseball experience is the stadium itself. It's the only sport I feel is that way. Now there's some dope stadiums out there, but like nothing is like baseball where you can go, almost make a point of going to see something at a stadium. It's almost a museum in sorts, right?
Yes.
And then of course the hot dog at every stadium, right? You gotta Google, you gotta find the dog. Like, Cleveland, you got the Fruit Loops on it, and everybody's got their crazy dog. My point is, after that long rant about hot dogs, is you used to be able, you'd go walk through, you weren't afraid of missing anything. It was like, man, this game's dragging on, like it's a pitcher's duel, whatever. Now, I get up and you walk through the corridor, you'll miss an inning. You'll miss an inning and a half. Like the guy you really, really wanted to see up to bat, the Acuna, whoever it is in my world, you'll miss it, man. And I love it.
I will say there are aspects of Banana Ball that are very fun to watch. I don't know that I want Banana Ball to even cross over into baseball. Like I almost want them to stay separate personally. But I will say what the Bananas are doing, it does make the game more engaging for some kid who ordinarily wouldn't be able to sit through a whole baseball game. Having the 2-hour time limit makes pitchers work faster. It makes people make quicker decisions. Having the head-to-head matchup every inning opposed to just a total final score tally, I think also keeps teams in ball games, and that one blow-up inning doesn't ruin the game and make it out of reach, so that you have position players just pitching because they've given up. Like that, that stuff like that I think is really good for the game and makes it more competitive and makes it faster. Do I want that in baseball? I don't know, probably not, but I do think that it does speed it up and make it more competitive. So again, maybe that's an alternative option that kids can play if they're maybe the more chase the butterfly in the outfield type player. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you this, a friend of mine, Troy Banks, who I think you met that day as well, he just tried out for Banana Ball a couple of weeks ago, and, Godspeed, let's see what happens. But there's a lot of ball players who are setting their goal to play Banana Ball. I mean, that's gotta sound good, right? That's gotta resonate with you. And you're a big part of that, coach. And, there's kids, I'm talking 10 years old, then you say, hey, what team you want to play for when you grow up? And they say Savannah Bananas. Wow. Right. Like that's gotta be another hair raiser on the arms, because, they're not saying New York Yankees or Mets. They're saying Savannah Bananas. Heck, I asked a kid and he said the Firemen, so that's pretty cool. Explain the innings real quick for us.
Sure. So think of it as, gosh, would it be match play in golf?
Or
people might not get that.
Yeah.
People might not get that reference either. So just in case, I'll explain it. Every inning is a head-to-head matchup. If you win the inning, you get 1 point. And so instead of going by runs, let's say the visiting team puts up 4 runs in the top half of the inning. The home team doesn't score. Cool. The visiting team won that inning. They get 1 point. Flip it around. Let's say both teams score 2 runs in the first inning. Okay. That inning net 0, like no one gets a point. Move on to the second inning. And you go inning by inning. And finally, in the last inning, every run that's scored counts as a point. So that's what enables it to, let's say the visiting team won 4 different innings and you go into the last inning, they're up 4-0. Well, the home team still can come back because in the last inning, every single run that's scored counts as a point. Let's say they put up a 5 spot, they win the game. So that's how the inning by inning matchup works, but it really keeps both teams in the game, because even if it's a blowout of a game, which is like 5-0, 5-1, that's like a blowout in Banana Ball.
Yeah.
You can still put up a 4-run inning in the ninth. Like that's very much possible. So it keeps everyone engaged to the last pitch, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's very well explained, and what I love about Banana Ball as well, this is unscripted stuff. People will say, oh, these guys go out and they're doing these plays, this trick plays and things like that. That's impossible as well. I mean, any sports fan or any baseball fan, anyone who's ever played the game knows how hard it is to hit a baseball, right? They say it's the hardest thing to do, period, in sports. Some could argue that, right? I guess whatever sport you're playing, you could argue that, but
sure.
Tell them to get in the box then and see a 99 mile an hour pitch from Paul Skeens and let's talk after.
Right. Yeah. You can tell it's coming. You're probably still not hitting it. So
you're probably not even in it. Probably not even. You think you could hit Skeens?
Probably not. Well, I'll say this. I think that baseball is funny to where at any given moment, anyone can get a hit off of anybody. So you give me 10 at bats off of him. Yeah. Am I going 0 for 10? Probably. But is there a world where I'd run into one and get a knock, or maybe who knows? Probably. Oh, that's also possible. So yeah, I think at any given time I can get a hit off of anybody, and at any given time I can strike out against anybody, even a 12-year-old. So that's my take.
Hey, some of these 12-year-olds, man, they're throwing some fire.
Yeah, especially. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. They're throwing 80 miles an hour from 46 feet. That's pretty tough.
It's wild. Now, Coach Rack obviously comes from your initials. And who do you coach? At what levels do you coach? Do you see yourself coaching in the future? Give me the whole coaching aspect of yourself.
Yeah, good question. So I coached JV baseball at my high school after getting released. So I finished up with the Nats. I was coaching full time, even when I was with the Nationals, like doing lessons, doing stuff one on one.
Yeah.
I enjoyed coaching one on one lessons, specifically hitting and actually defense. After I got a really good defense coach, like an infield coach, when I was with the Nationals, Jeff Garber, and he gave me a love for the infield, and I love teaching the infield. And even though I wasn't the best infielder myself, I feel like I can teach it well. And so I did a lot of lessons for kids, working specifically with infield and hitting in 2021 and 2022. Got released in 22. Did that even more full time, as a way to pay the bills initially, and started making coaching content in 2022. So that's when I started making the Coach Rack videos. Like that was 2022 after getting released by the Nationals. And then in the spring of last year, 2023, I coached at Airhead Christian High School. I was like the hitting guy for the varsity team, and then I was head coach of the JV team. And we had a ton of fun. It was great. We weren't very good, but we had a blast. And I also did lessons through that time. And as of the past year, I haven't done hardly any lessons at all. And after that season in 2023, I didn't coach any teams. Being with the Bananas, it's not much I can do time wise. So that has kind of evolved into doing camps and events. So Not Your Average Baseball Camp is NYABC is a camp I started up with a friend of mine, Ange, and we did our first camp in January of 23, and we've done 4 camps since. So that's what kind of my coaching has evolved into. It's a little bit of a weird dynamic now if I go and do a lesson with a kid, because it's like there's almost like the kid's like, oh, I watch you on social media, and there's almost like it almost would be hard for them to pay attention in a way. So if that makes sense. So the dynamics changed. Yeah, so dynamics changed a lot, and but I at camps and stuff, I'm still able to speak to more of a group, and that works well. But that's kind of what it's evolved to. It's very different now than it was a few years ago.
It's interesting you say that, because I think you're going to have one of two kids. You're going to have the kid that like stares up in you in awe, who's like he's in such disbelief that Coach Rack is sitting in front of him, or you're going to have that gamer who like wants to knock your socks off, So he's going to put everything he's got in, and he wants to prove to you, thinking that, hey, you're going to scout him and he's going to be the next Bananas. Do you want to coach after, you hang up the cleats per se?
Yeah, in some capacity, I want to continue to educate and be a voice in the baseball community. I think that baseball, especially, there's a lot of old practices with regards to coaching that I think can be damaging. And I think a lot of people think that if you just really like beat down on kids, then you'll make them tougher and make them better. And I'm not one of those people who's like, no discipline, or like, no, you need discipline. You need to be like, sometimes you need to like, be hard on kids, but they have to know you care about them. And there's a lot of like principles like that I saw growing up that I think made playing for me a lot harder than it was easier with certain coaches and through every level. And I want to kind of shift the culture of baseball coaching a little bit out of some of those old things that are maybe there. So I guess, yeah, I want to have an impact on baseball culture as a whole. So if that's coaching a team, or if that's just continuing to make content online, then so be it. But yeah, I definitely want to be around baseball in some capacity once I'm done playing.
Awesome answer. I think, as far as kids go, I prefer to teach kids on you. And I'm exactly like you. Mike Golick, about 6 months ago when I had him on, he told me something that's so simple, yet I never thought of. He said, I coach by the 2 F's, fun and fundamentals. Mm-hmm. And that just stuck with me. And then, I've coached for a few years, but last year, coaching the team, I really thought of that, like almost every time I was out there. And whenever I would start to lose my cool or my patience, I would just think fun. And then on the flip side, when you're teaching batting and stance and everything else, fundamentals. I'm not trying to there's parents, dads who were former athletes, maybe they just don't have time to coach or whatever it is, man. I mean, coaching's not for everybody. And they'll spend hours and hours and teach their kid a stance, right? That's how he thinks maybe he should stand. Now, I am not one as a coach, to be honest with you, to go up and break that up. I don't want to do that. If I think he looks right, he's got his foot where he needs to, he's not standing on the plate, or he's a righty and he's batting lefty or something, that's fine. What your dad taught you as far as stance. I'm there, again, 10U, to make sure you have a good time, and obviously fundamentals. Like if you're way off the mark, I'm going to get involved, right? But what do you think of that statement, right? Are you, or are you someone, and I don't think you are, that would be like, no, I want you right here. This is where you need to stand. And it doesn't seem like you'd be that way.
Yeah, no, I couldn't be like, I couldn't in good conscience be that coach, because if you watch any Major League Baseball game, you got guys standing in all different ways, and there's so many different styles and of play. There's no way to tell a kid you're standing wrong, even if they're standing like I'm sure Craig Counsell,
Right.
hitting like this. If he
Right.
did that at 10 years old, I'm sure someone would have said, "Hey, you're hitting wrong," and he
Yep.
got to the big leagues and was a great big league player hitting like that. So you can't tell a kid your stance is wrong. Maybe it's right for him. There's no way of knowing. I think very few people are qualified enough to actually tell a hitter, try moving this way instead of this way. I think a lot of people try to, I think a lot of well-intentioned people try to move kids around and micromanage so that their swing looks like this textbook hitter. But in reality, a lot of times I think you're just hindering athleticism of kids when you try to move them around and micromanage. One thing I once heard from, I think Coach Ballgame actually was, if you want to get a kid to stop playing video games, then go in there and micromanage them. Tell them, hey, you're doing that wrong. Hey, you're moving your stick in this way. Like try to, like if you want a kid to stop playing video games, then get in there and micromanage. And that's the way we often approach kids with baseball and their swing, is we get in there and micromanage. And then we're like, why don't they like it anymore? Fun and fundamentals. I love that, because absolutely, if you're prioritizing their fun, yeah, let them stand weird. Like, see if it works for them. If it doesn't work and they come to you and are like, hey, should I try? What can I do differently? Then you can tell them. They open the door for you. But otherwise, yeah, let them have fun.
100%, man. And fun things come from that, right? Like, I'm sure Counsell probably had a nickname for his goofy stance, right? Or Biggio, whoever, right? So like the fun of baseball is what it's all about, man. And you guys, that's what I'm saying. You guys do it right. Your camaraderie is second to none, man. I've interviewed a bunch of the guys on the team and they love you, and you guys just all have this really, really special bond. It's really cool, dude. It's a really different dynamic that you don't often see in team sports. Kudos on all that stuff. I won't take up your whole Wednesday morning. This was awesome. I appreciate you so much for coming on. Let me finish with just a couple of goofy fun questions that my boys asked me to ask. They said, when you're on a plane, do you like the aisle or the window seat?
I like the window seat. I like to be able to lean on it. That being said, I also sometimes stay very hydrated, and in which case I need the aisle seat because I might need to get up to pee a few times. So if I'm on a day where I'm really hydrated, give me the aisle. Otherwise, I'll take the window.
Have you been to Buffalo, obviously? Did you have a chance to have any wings when you were here?
I don't think I did, actually. I don't think I had any wings. I did get to go to Niagara Falls though with the wifey, with Gigi. Okay. So that was fun. We enjoyed that.
Yeah, was it the first time at the Falls?
Very first time. Yeah, we did the whole Made of the Mist tour.
I was just going to ask if you did Made of the Mist.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. I was so impressed by that whole experience. We walked up, and within like 15 minutes of walking up, we were on the boat, like going to the falls. We're like, wow, this is very efficient, and it was good.
Locally, we take it for granted. We get mad whenever there's a Buffalo Bills game and the broadcast shows Niagara Falls, because we're like, we take offense to that because we're Buffalo and that's Niagara Falls, 45 minutes away.
Right.
But oh man, this was definitely a lot of fun. And again, I appreciate you very, very much for taking the time, man. Keep doing what you do to, being a huge impact on baseball and kids, everything you're doing, man. Just keep rocking.
Thanks so much, man. It's encouraging to hear. I appreciate you, dude.
We are here with Coach Rack of the Savannah Bananas, and we have Cash with us here, and we have Little Money. These guys were excited to do an interview, so I'm going to let them rip, man. What did you have for Coach here? What did you want to ask him?
So I have some questions. What is it like playing banana ball?
What is it like playing banana ball? Well, it's like baseball, a little less pressure, a little more celebrating, a little more choreography, but overall, it's a lot of fun.
Pretty solid question. Pretty solid.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Dean, follow that up.
My favorite glove brand for fielding? That's a great question.
Wow.
If I were going off strictly design, I really like Aria. I feel like they got some really fun designs. I like the ice cream stuff. We have a deal with Wilson.
I was going to say, you got to watch with his deals here.
So I use an A2000 in the outfield. I love that thing as well. I got a pink one. It's actually right over there.
And for all the ladies for this handsome devil,
yes.
You got a lady friend here? You a single guy?
I got a wife.
Oh, well, there you go. Sorry, we just broke some hearts all across the world. So thanks for taking some time with us, man.